You've been a big believer in and a proponent of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And rightfully so, you've been recognized for that numerous times, even by Automotive News Canada. I'm wondering, though, how you feel about where the industry is right now when it comes to DEI. And I ask that because we've seen automakers, motorcycle companies, tractor manufacturers all back away from those efforts in recent months. How does that make you feel? Because you've been so driven in that area of management and of equality.
Well, I think the first thing you look at, I mean, aside from the altruistic point of view, which is just my own personal beliefs, and I believe you have to stand up for what you believe in. But aside from that, spend a day in your showrooms and look at who walks in, and tell me if they look like a bunch of old white guys like me. And they don't. They don't. They look like the United Nations here in Canada walking through our doors, and the same in Australia. Very diverse group. And ultimately, to me, it just makes logical sense that your organization reflects the same composition that your customers represent in their views and their backgrounds and their abilities. I mean, again, I go back to Nav Bhatia, and one of the most successful dealers in all of Canada, and also a very strong proponent of DEI. And if you walk into his dealerships, they probably aren't even going to be speaking English, and yet they are speaking to the customer base that walks through their doors. So from strictly a business perspective, I'd like to argue with anybody that it doesn't, that it makes sense to ensure that your management team has the same mindset as your customers so that you can relate to them and be able to adjust to their needs and what they're looking for in terms of a ownership experience. And so, yeah, it wasn't all just altruistic. I mean, there was a lot of business that went behind that as well. Most decisions buying cars are made by females, not males. And yet we are terribly lacking in terms of female representation in our executive ranks. And we set out to change that. And we just promoted Jessica Todd, who, when I came here, was a district manager, is now a director replacing Steve Flamon. And I just think, it's just good business, Greg. I think it makes sense. And, aside from that, I just, my personal beliefs don't change just because politics seem to be moving in a different direction.
I remember sitting next to you years ago at one of our Automotive News Canada events in Toronto, and you said of Tesla in particular, but of other disruptors that were new to the EV market, that, quote, the barbarians are at the gates. Yeah. As you leave North America, are they still at the gates? Have they breached the gates, or have automakers held them at bay? Where are we at?
No, the governments have held them at bay with tariffs.
Yes.
And, I think it's just a matter of, I would say, between 5 and 10 years, we're not going to be able to hold them back anymore. And eventually, all makes that are interested in North America are going to find a way to come build here, sell here. Now, in doing so, we're going to see obviously a different cost structure that's going to be a little more, competitive with the current landscape. So, but they're going to be here. I mean, they have people that are just as passionate about their brands and their future as we are about ours. So I think it's just human nature. We're going to see, like we see in Australia, they're already there. They're going to be here in North America. But given the geopolitical situation, it's going to take a little bit longer. And especially now with all the tariff banter going back and forth, we're not going to see it anytime soon.
Let's talk about tariffs then right now. I want to talk EVs next, but you brought up tariffs. We can't avoid discussing them. How do you see this trade war playing out in the short, mid, and long term?
Man, if I had a crystal ball, Greg, I probably wouldn't be going to Australia. I'd be opening up my cottage right now, and I'd be playing the stock market. But I do think it's almost impossible to gauge the U.S. and what they're going to do next. Ultimately, I think we all believe that a free trade environment, back to maybe where we were at with NAFTA, in trying to work together as one North American organization, was the best play for all of us. Because when you really look at our industry from a global perspective, you've got China out there that has a myriad of different companies all working together with vendors working together. Ultimately, we need to collaborate. We need to be of one mind, working together to get the maximum efficiencies and not throwing artificial tariffs up there that are doing nothing but increasing the cost and making our products less efficient, especially right now. But that's the geopolitical environment. I do believe that this will change because I think ultimately logic's going to prevail, and it's going to say, hey, we're better together as one North American organization working together in our numerous industries to provide maximum efficiency for our constituents, for our customers. And if we don't, there's a lot of companies overseas that'll do it for us, and that doesn't make sense to me. So I'd say it's a temporary situation. It's a negotiating tool. It's a ploy right now, but eventually this too shall pass.
Hyundai has been at the forefront of electrification in Canada. I know you believe in it. I know the company believes in it. I know Hyundai was in favor of the rebates for a long time. The rebates now are essentially gone at the federal level. I don't know if they come back. I would assume they don't. Where are we in Canada now with EV adoption, with these rebates having gone? Can electrification continue without those rebates? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I think it will. It's going to slow down. We're already seeing it. You can see now. I know the Tesla stock price may be being influenced by other factors, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, we're all seeing a decline in demand, but we're still seeing demand. There's still people out buying today. We'll sell so many today out throughout the country. So people are still, once you drive an EV, once you get set up for the charging systems, they're phenomenal. I mean, they're fast, they're fun, they're quiet, they're great vehicles. But maybe not for everybody at this stage. And I do believe that it's important that we continue to stay true, just like we talked about DEI, staying true to our vision, true to our belief stream, because ultimately technology will continue to improve if we do. And pretty soon we're going to have,